Rise and shine. You're watching WCTV Eyewitness News. The Good Morning Show starts now.
Happening now on GMS, time is winding down for the Justice Department to justify the search of former President Trump's Florida home. What new details we have on the investigation.
Plus, heavy rains and flash floods overwhelming many areas in the West. Coming up, we'll update the search for a missing woman and how tourists got trapped by floodwaters. It's never any good.
I was going to say, I know, that's not. Floodwaters, scary.
All right, well, good morning. Nice to have you here.
Nice to be here.
Right.
I was saying.
Lanitra's still on birthday vacation. Good for her.
Yes,
Apparently, Michelle not feeling well. Thank you for coming off the bench with short notice.
Thank you for having me.
And thank you for being here with us this morning, everybody. It's a Monday. We start a brand new week. We're getting towards the end of August.
Yes.
I actually saw the average daytime high dip a degree for the first time.
Okay.
So we're starting to get to the end of the forest.
Okay, I like that.
Got things working in our favor. We'll talk weather in just a couple of minutes. We're going to start, though, with election news. Primary day in the Sunshine State tomorrow, and the Democratic race for governor looks like it may come down to the wire. The latest poll showing a virtual dead heat between Congressman Charlie Crist and Florida Agricultural Commissioner Nikki Fried.
Josh Roltenberg from our D.C. Bureau, speaking with both contenders, has a preview of the race from Orlando.
Congressman Charlie Crist tells me his experience and electability make him the Democrats' best shot to oust Governor Ron DeSantis. Yet Nikki Fried, currently the state's only statewide elected Democrat, says it's time for, quote, something new. Nikki Fried dancing with supporters in Orlando just days before Election Day.
We feel our surge, the Nikki wave, happening all over the state.
Fried has been in politics the last 4 years, serving as Florida's agriculture commissioner. She says she wants to be the new face of state government because she is not a career politician.
I'm somebody who's just shown up every day and said, how can I help?
Fried says her campaign is simple: lower housing costs, pay state workers $15 an hour, protect a woman's right to choose, and help small businesses grow, all while toning down the rhetoric on culture wars coming from the governor's office.
All we have to do is show up and say, be done with all of that.
Are you fired up and ready to go?
Charlie Crist has 2 decades of political experience between state and federal government, which he says separates him from Fried.
I know how to win. I know how to lead. I'm ready to do the job.
Crist is currently serving his 3rd term in Congress and wants to be governor again. He served 1 term more than 10 years ago, but as a Republican. Crist thinks that makes him more electable.
It's kind of like Joe Biden against Donald Trump. You know, he could beat the guy. He was good, he was decent, he was experienced, ran against a rookie president.
Crist says he too wants to defend women's reproductive rights while making it easier for Floridians to vote and have clean water. He also says the people need a governor with a heart.
The guy's literally anti-democracy, and it's a shame, and it's crushing our state.
A Crist win would give him a second shot at running the state. A Fried win would get her 1 step closer to becoming the first woman elected governor.
We are in a great opportunity to create history on August 23rd.
If you want to beat Ron DeSantis, vote for Charlie Crist, and vote like your life depends on it.
And Cadence Daniel and Robert Willis are also running to be the Democratic nominee for governor, but their support has polled in the single digits. Meanwhile, all polls show Governor Ron DeSantis beating any Democratic winner in November's general election. In Orlando, I'm Josh Roltenberg.
Now, early voting wrapping up in Florida on Saturday. The latest update from the Florida Secretary of State shows more than 550,000 ballots cast that in the primary, and of course 53% of those votes coming from Republicans. 1.5 million people already voting by mail.
And in Leon County, over 12,000 people have gone to the polls to vote early, and that's just about the same number of early voters who voted in the 2020 primary election, but far less than the 2018 primary election total of over 18,000. Meanwhile, Leon County voters have returned nearly 22,000 mail-in ballots.
Now, Election Day is tomorrow, and to vote in person tomorrow, here are some of the things that you need to know. Polls open at 7 a.m. They close at 7 p.m. Now, as long as you're in line by 7 p.m., you're able to cast a vote. No one can force you out of a line if you're still waiting, even at 7 p.m. Make sure to bring a valid ID. Now, that can be a driver's license, a state identification card, or a passport. And if you aren't already registered to vote, well, then it's too late. You can't vote in this primary. Remember, this is a closed primary, and that means you can only vote for those running in the party that you are registered in.
And the time now is 5:03. Tallahassee business community convening for its annual conference. The Chamber of Commerce gathering over the weekend at Amelia Island with about 500 people, including business owners and political leaders. They are discussing issues impacting the Tallahassee community. Our Savannah Kelly has more.
One of the panels on Saturday was on improving the lives of children and families. Speakers emphasized the importance of early childhood education in setting the stage for future success of young students.
90% of brain development happens before those kindergartners ever walk through the door.
Brooke Bruner, director of early childhood programs at Leon County Schools, says the most critical years of learning occur before children even step foot in the classroom, between the ages of 0 and 5. But when families are living in poverty, Superintendent Rocky Hanna says they often don't have the resources to give their child the early learning experiences they need to thrive.
It's families that live in poverty, the mother's having to work 2 jobs to stay afloat. The child is not getting the academic enriching experiences that they so desperately need.
That's why Hannah says LCS is working in partnership with TMH to connect with mothers early and let them know about pre-K opportunities available through the school, which help prepare kids for kindergarten and set the stage for their entire academic career.
We talk a lot about the achievement gap. The achievement gap is kindergarten. You see that gap, and then we spend the next 12 years trying to close it.
At the Tallahassee Chamber of Commerce conference, panelists laid out how local organizations like the Children's Services Council and World Class Schools are helping to close this achievement gap, not only promoting education, but also working to combat underlying issues that prevent students from being successful, like food insecurity.
But if that child is hungry, they can't focus in the classroom.
Hannah said it's a responsibility that falls not just on the school district, but on the entire Tallahassee community.
It's up to us as a community to help those young parents navigate that space in 0 to 5. And we're fully committed to doing that.
Hannah said one of the main purposes of him attending this conference was to recruit more business partners who can help support Leon County school programs. One of those programs, called Classroom Connections, allows a business to sponsor a class and work directly with teachers to read to students and host field trips and school supply drives. Reporting at Amelia Island, Savannah Kelly, WCTV Eyewitness News.
And in Jackson County, the sheriff's office is searching for a missing person at Spring Creek in Marianna. Officials say they got a call around 1 p.m. Saturday about a person who went underwater at the creek. The sheriff says a group of international military students from Fort Rucker were tubing, and one of them fell out of a tube and couldn't be located. Florida Fish and Wildlife, the Houston County Dive Team, Wicksburg Fire Rescue, and Fort Rucker Fire Rescue all helping with the search and rescue efforts.
3 different dive teams in the water. We have sonar equipment in the water, just combing the river. There's lots of, in this river, there's lots of trees and brush in the water, so it makes it a little difficult to maneuver for the divers once they get under.
They are also investigating any potential leads. According to the sheriff, there are no updates yet, but the search will continue and the recreation area will also reopen.
On August 19, 1942, this BT-15 World War II plane was delivered to the Bainbridge Air Base. And Saturday, that same plane landed back at the air base 80 years later. The plane showcasing the deep history Bainbridge has to offer and how people are working to preserve it. Our Brandon Spencer has this story.
This B-1015 World War II aircraft touched down in Bainbridge Saturday, almost 80 years to the day it called the Bainbridge Air Base home, serving as a functional piece of history.
At that time, when it was delivered, there were like 122 of the type here, but only 7 of these. And that's why we're, Jack with his father's history here in his logbook actually shows he flew BT-15. So it's
Jack Hill is the son of Second Lieutenant Rowan Hill, who trained pilots on the air base, which is also the site where he met his wife, making Jack feel he owes his life to this area.
History that I share with this place up here. It's awesome to be able to come back and see where he walked and what he did and, be a part of it. It's really a great honor to be able to do that.
Sharing a piece of history with his father.
Coming up with Tom, I sit in the same place my dad would have sat training pilots. And it means quite a bit. Yeah. It really does.
The city of Bainbridge welcoming Smith and Hill with open arms, with local businesses vowing to take care of them.
Me and my wife just own a restaurant. We love our country. We had this opportunity. They called us, and we were like, absolutely. And so, we'll be able to serve them tonight and make sure they are well fed and take good care of them. And to be able to do that for guys like this, it's a cool opportunity. So we're happy to do it.
As the owner, Smith says preserving the plane and sharing its history is the least he can do, considering the sacrifice those who flew in it made.
There's the sacrifice that these kids, 19, 20-year-olds, did for us. And we can bring it back here and show the bit of the history. It's their sacrifice that allows us to do this today.
A notion the residents of Bainbridge say they truly appreciate.
Just sort of the respect and the admiration that these guys are actually, bringing this back and maintaining this aircraft and maintaining a piece of history and connecting it to the very place that it was used to train 80 years ago. That is really cool.
Reporting in Decatur County, Brandon Spencer, WCTV Eyewitness News.
Smith says he will continue to maintain the aircraft and share its history for each yearly milestone until he has the opportunity to pass the baton to someone else. And now we're going to send things over to meteorologist Robbie Gatola for a look at our forecast. We were just kind of talking about how weather held up pretty nicely yesterday, but I'm anticipating maybe some more rain.
Yeah, the showers don't want to go away. Neither does this unsettled look and feel. So even when it doesn't rain, it sort of looks like it should be, and it kind of feels like it should be. And I think we're going to have a lot of that throughout the day today and probably for the next several days. Most of our temperatures, by the way, they are held down because of the clouds, because of the showers. We're going to start in the lower and mid 70s. We're probably going to top out in the middle and upper 80s. That's it, all depending on who's lucky enough to get those showers and then who's not. We could see a few areas scare 90 degrees. I don't see much activity on the radar this morning. We see some pockets of green here and there, maybe a couple of showers off to the south and way off to the east near the I-75 corridor. But we've got a lot of available moisture. We'll be on the lookout for some of that patchy fog, and it's definitely going to be another one of those days where your glasses fog up the minute you step outside. Lots of clouds around the region, but it's not wall-to-wall overcast all the time. There'll be some breaks of blue, and that's when we can see those temperatures spike maybe just a little bit. The numbers to get us going early today, mostly in that 72 to 75 range. Mariana and Quincy at 73, Thomasville and Moultrie at 72, Valdosta and Perry checking in at 74. Now on the Futurecast, I do think we're going to find pockets of showers, but it's not all the time nonstop rain. It's going to look and feel like it should be raining a lot more than it actually does, but they're shower chances, and they're likely going to be those downpour and done, 20, 30, 40 minutes and finished, and then they move on someplace else. And while I do think there can be multiple waves of showers throughout the afternoon and evening, I don't expect everybody to get wet today. It's not that kind of setup, and I think it's going to continue like this for most of this week. Now, today's chances may be a little higher than the next couple of days, but we're going to keep those rain chances 50, 60, even 70% like today most days this week. So that means we've got good chances to see showers. It's going to stay a little bit unsettled looking and feeling outside, but it's also not going to be as hot as it could be this time of the year. I think those temperatures are going to have to really fight their way to get to near 90. The normal high for this time of the year is around 91, so maybe staying on the cooler side of normal, but definitely very humid.
Garnet and Gold meets Red and Black on the soccer pitch. Florida State and Georgia coming up in Good Morning Sports.